This is the CBS Evening News. Susan Spencer reporting. Good evening. Cool breezes offered brief relief to the parched Midwest today, but the South still sizzled, and there was no rain to break the nation's drought. Tennessee, Mississippi, and Georgia again hit 100 degrees this afternoon. A United Nations group predicted a worldwide grain shortage if this goes on much longer, and as Bruce Hall reports, there's concern that some will try to turn shortage into profit.
The head of the Senate Agricultural Committee issued warnings today to speculators, commodity traders, and grain companies not to take advantage of the farmers' plight in this year's drought. In recent weeks, there have been huge purchases of government surpluses as speculators gamble that prices will move higher with the continuing drought.
If my committee finds that anybody's speculating on this, taking what's happening to these farmers and trying to speculate on whether it's grocery stores, producers, or exporters or anybody else, we're going to come down on them with hobnailed boots.
Prices of grains have been shooting up since January. Soybeans jumping from $4 to $10 a bushel, corn from $1.25 to $3.15, and wheat up $1. An official in the Agriculture Department said buying of government surpluses reached record levels this past week, and if it continues at this pace, all government wheat and soybean surpluses would be exhausted by August.
I don't think that they're trying to take an unfair advantage of anyone. I think that they're purely in the marketplace because the demand is out there.
And the demand may be increasing. National Weather Service forecasters say conditions in some regions of the country are now extremely serious.
The rainfall deficit pattern is something that's unprecedented for more than 50 years. You have to go back to 1936 to see one like it.
And the continuing drought means more bad news for the shrinking Mississippi River. Barges are backed up from St. Louis to New Orleans as the dwindling water levels have slowed traffic to a crawl.
There are problems on the river, but they're manageable, and we will keep it open.
But it may be difficult to keep the river open, as the National Weather Service forecast today predicts no significant rain is expected over the drought-stricken areas for the next 7 to 10 days. Bruce Hall, CBS News, Atlanta.
Senator Robert Dole reportedly is ready to let bygones be bygones and take the number 2 spot on a Republican ticket headed by George Bush. Bush advisors are said to be pushing Dole. Dole says if Bush called, he'd say, "Let's talk." The candidate, meanwhile, was talking about crime today, a favorite theme, as Jacqueline Adams reports.
In an appearance today before the Fraternal Order of Police, Vice President Bush was back on what is rapidly becoming his favorite subject, Massachusetts' controversial prison furlough program.
Willie Horton was in jail, found guilty by a jury of his peers for murdering a 17-year-old kid after torturing him.
Willie Horton has become the Bush campaign symbol of Democrat Michael Dukakis's approach to crime. Horton was furloughed from prison in Massachusetts, but went on to brutally assault a family in Maryland.
What did the Democratic governor of Massachusetts think he was doing when he let convicted first-degree murderers out on weekend passes? And no other state would a cold-blooded murderer like Willie Horton have been set free to terrorize innocent people.
22 Republican governors have furlough programs. So these are part and parcel of any kind of a thoughtful and progressive congressional program.
In fact, 40 states permit furloughs, although Massachusetts was the only state to furlough first-degree murderers. Since the Horton incident, the state has eliminated that part of the program. But the Democrats say the furlough issue is relatively insignificant, and that Bush has seized upon it only because his record on crime is weak.
He's had a total failure of himself in the war on drugs. He's not participated in any leadership position in this administration on crime.
Nonetheless, the Dukakis camp sent both DeConcini and the Massachusetts Secretary of Public Safety to today's conference to answer the vice president's charge.
The furloughs have been around for a long time. And when you're dealing with people, as you know, you take risks.
Dukakis and Bush are turning their war on crime into a war for votes, and the intensity of their sparring 5 months before the election is a preview of the fight to come. Jacqueline Adams, CBS News, Columbus, Ohio.
Democrats late last night finished a platform to Michael Dukakis's liking, short and not specific. They rejected controversial Jackson planks to, among other things, raise taxes, freeze defense spending, and support Palestinian self-determination. Jackson, who also won on questions involving South Africa and the minimum wage, said he hasn't decided yet whether to pursue a platform fight. Southern Californians were rudely awakened this morning as an earthquake measuring 4.7 on the Richter scale rattled windows from Palm Springs to Los Angeles. No serious damage or injuries reported. Still ahead on tonight's CBS Evening News, a major test for Gorbachev's reforms, and later on, the changing environment. An Inside Sunday look at what's going on under the sun.
Sometimes I don't know what to believe. What food's good for you, what's not. But I guess I can believe reports from the National Cancer Institute. They say some studies suggest a high-fiber, low-fat diet may reduce the risk of some kinds of cancer. So I made some changes, like eating Kellogg's All-Bran. Just 1 tablespoon of All-Bran has more fiber than a whole serving of most other cereals. Am I going to change what I eat for breakfast? You better believe it.
High-fiber Kellogg's All-Bran.
My wife, every night she disappears into the bathroom. Who knows what's going on? But whatever it is, it makes her feel really good. See?
Clean away stains and freshen dentures with Efferdent every night.
A while back, I had this sprained ankle. I didn't take aspirin or Tylenol. My doctor gave me Advil. It worked on the pain, and Advil was gentler to my stomach than aspirin. Advil, tablets and caplets, advanced medicine for pain.
My doctor said Citracel is just as effective as Metamucil, but it tastes great.
Look, Metamucil's gritty, so it won't all go through the strainer. Citracel's special fiber pours right through. Citracel, great taste, no grit.
On their vacation, they had everything planned. Everything except this. So don't carry cash. Carry American Express traveler's checks. Don't leave home without them.
Several thousand Armenian Americans and their supporters marched today in Los Angeles. They called it a solidarity protest to back Soviet Armenians in their territorial dispute with the neighboring Azerbaijan Republic. With the crucial Soviet Communist Party conference only 2 days away, Pravda today reported the end of a month-long general strike in the disputed area, an enclave inside Azerbaijan that wants reunification with Armenia. Ending ethnic and other internal squabbles is only one item on the agenda of the first full-fledged party conference in almost half a century. But as Bert Quint reports from Moscow, it's an all-important item.
A message from Mikhail Gorbachev has gone up near the train stations where delegates from the provinces are arriving to debate his reform program. Comrades, it says, let's guarantee the process of democratization. But even before the party conference begins Tuesday, that process is under fire. National aspirations in the far reaches of the Russian Empire, awakened by the new air of freedom, have overtaken Gorbachev and his fellow reformers. On the Baltic coast, Estonians and Latvians insist they themselves, not the bureaucrats in Moscow, should run their republics. In the south, troops rush to hold back crowds demanding that old boundary lines be redrawn. Armored vehicles stand guard to prevent more Armenians and Azerbaijanis from killing each other in the dispute over a region called Nagorno-Karabakh. Is out of hand and a blow to perestroika. But this huge country is full of potential trouble spots, lands inhabited by 100 nationalities slapped together to form the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. These people have been treated as first-class folklore and second-class citizens. They want their own languages, their autonomy, some even their independence. It could be Gorbachev's biggest problem.
Conservatives can point a finger if they want to and say, that shows that we can't have freedom because we lose peace and order, we lose law and order.
A delegate to the party conference says the problems of nationalities are not being dealt with properly and warns something must be done soon. Gorbachev agrees and has put the issue on the conference agenda with a pledge to establish a political policy to satisfy all ethnic communities. It sounds impossible, but if Gorbachev is to defeat the foes of reform, he must find a way to put out the fires in the hinterland without smothering the spark of democracy. Bert Quint, CBS News, Moscow.
Disaster today at a French air show. The cameras were rolling as a new model Airbus lost altitude and crashed into a forest. At least 4 people were killed, about 100 hurt. The pilot who survived said the plane just lost power. Officials said the cushioning effect of the trees prevented even more deaths. The Airbus was carrying about 120 invited guests on a demonstration flight. The Washington Post reports today that Boeing warned Aloha Airlines last November that a number of its planes had significant corrosion problems and that 4 needed new fuselage panels. That was 5 months before the fuselage of one of those 4 disintegrated in flight. Aloha today denied that it acted at all improperly. 33 years ago today, black South Africans adopted the Freedom Charter, a document drafted in part by Nelson Mandela calling for a free, non-racial society. There once was a community where that harmony was reality. Now it's a place that exists only in memories, as we hear from Martha Teichner.
A stranger might wonder why such a lush green hillside in the very heart of one of the world's most beautiful cities has no houses, no high-rise office buildings. The answer? This is District 6, South Africa's most poignant monument to apartheid, where once 40,000 people lived, black, white, and brown together. Today, only their churches and mosques remain. It took 15 years and cost $30 million for the South African government to destroy District 6. For a century, it had been the crowded, colorful home of Cape Town's working classes. Remarkable because here there was no apartheid. But the land was just too desirable, too close to town, the people too political. In 1966, it was declared a slum, to be demolished and rebuilt, but for whites only. The unique flavor of life in District 6 was lost when its people were forced to move, most of them 20 to 30 miles further away from their jobs. A Muslim carpenter and his family were among the last to leave in 1982. By that time, what was left of District 6 was a wasteland. Its destruction caused such bitterness the planned white development was never built, except for a technical school that continues to expand. The man who ordered the demolition of District 6 was P.W. Botha, now state president. Ironically, he is also the man who 22 years later wants it reopened to people of all races. It is unlikely that people who were forced to leave could afford to buy the new houses that would be built. But they still come back, just to reminisce.
There was the kitchen.
Yes.
This was your room. And everything used like I feel so at home.
There was a gate.
Go home.
The old District 6 is just a sad memory. Martha Teichner, CBS News, Cape Town.
I feel so.
You've suffered through all kinds of diets and regimens, but if you don't get enough protein when you're dieting to lose fat, you might lose muscle. Protein can help you keep muscle while you lose fat, and Special K has the highest level of dietary protein available in a cereal. So one reason for including the under 200 calories Special K breakfast in a balanced diet is rather obvious. Special K. Keep the muscle, lose the fat.
Dentuaries. Now everybody's calling me the Fresh Mouth. Thanks to Super Strength Polidin Green. It's got a minty mouthwash ingredient, so it freshens up dentures as it cleans tough stains. Try Super Strength Polidin Green, the mouth-freshening clean. Ah.
It's out there again, waiting. Allergy season. But allergies don't have to be a big problem. Not with fast-acting Benadryl, the most prescribed allergy medication ever.
If you're a business person and you're making a long-distance call, to call your customer, to call your supplier, before you hit that 11th digit, we've mapped out that entire call across the network, irrespective of where you're calling. You've got 21 different paths to get there. Okay, that's important from a reliability point of view. We've checked the quality of the circuit you're going to be on before you actually start speaking. We've done a service check. We're actually doing 75 million service checks per day, because that's how many calls we complete. I don't think most people realize that.
The air is getting warmer, forests are disappearing, and fish are dying in the oceans. Tonight on Inside Sunday, what on earth is going on? It appears we're not taking very good care of this planet we call home. The consequences of that could be very serious, and the experts say the warning signs already are there. The forests of the Blue Ridge Mountains, North Carolina. The fir trees are dying.
Had we been here about 10 years ago, these wouldn't have shown, maybe we've seen maybe one or two that have died. Had we looked at them 5 years ago, we'd see about maybe a third of what we see now.
Naturalist Smathers, who has spent his adult life studying these forests, says he used to think acid rain was the problem. He now blames a changed climate.
And we may very well be at that point right now, where there'll be massive dieback of certain plants.
The barren spots in the mountains, the parched fields of the Midwest, the soaring temperatures throughout the country, all finally have got people believing in what once seemed science fiction, the greenhouse effect.
The future warming that the models are projecting is truly unprecedented.
The greenhouse effect, the result of man-made gases trapping heat from the sun, is emerging as the chief suspect in the exceptionally high temperatures of the 80s.
The climate has the potential of warming up significantly by 5 to as much as 10 degrees Fahrenheit within the next 50 years.
The computer models differ only in how fast the global warming will come, not whether it will happen. But with all the gases already up there, trapping heat, what can be done about it?
In terms of reversing, it's probably unlikely we're going to see a reverse. We might be able to curb the increase.
Improvements will come only by cutting down on carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Replanting some of the 27 million acres of trees lost just last year might help, but real change would require massive reductions in the use of fossil fuel.
That would first of all involve going to a new type of energy source globally. It is unlikely, from my point of view, that that's an option that will be taken by civilization.
Environmentalists warn that ultimately, civilization may have little choice. Significantly warmer temperatures could mean a rise in sea levels up to 4 feet, causing serious beach erosion. Increased evaporation of inland waters like the Great Lakes, causing their levels to drop. And the shifting of entire climate zones, affecting crops and forests. It could all cost billions, but as a Senate panel agreed last week, more than that is at stake.
We have only one planet. If we screw it up, we have no place else to go.
Finding a place to go when it comes to garbage, that's a growing problem. The government has banned most ocean dumping to try to reverse the damage already done to the waters. But Jerry Bowen reports that as the garbage mounts, so does the pressure to take it out to sea.
Skipper John Ackley pilots his sports fishing boat off the California coast these days, pondering all the changes he's seen.
I'm not a scientist, but I know in the years that I've fished in these waters, things have definitely changed. Species have decreased. You don't see the same migrating fish in this area that we used to.
Another mystery of nature or another mistake by man? There's been no shortage of the man-made problems on either coast. Everything from sewage and garbage on the shorelines to approved dumping of sewage sludge on the high seas.
So in the face of all the horror stories of ocean pollution, the last thing one might expect is a serious proposal to dump even more garbage into the seas. Well, that's exactly what a number of scientists are suggesting, using the deepest canyons of the ocean as dumping grounds.
Do we know enough today to use the deep oceans as a receptacle for waste? I answer yes.
And the need is urgent, say proponents, what with landfills filling to capacity and the reluctance of once willing developing nations to take the waste. It's time, say some scientists, to return to the 50s when dumping was common, but this time go far beyond the shallow coastal waters, well off the continental shelf, and deposit waste thousands of feet down, perhaps in canisters or bales. The theory being the oceans are so vast that even low-level nuclear waste would be diluted to harmless levels.
If they do no harm to to human beings, if they do no harm to organisms of the sea, if they don't harm the recreational uses of the sea, so what?
So it's a matter of self-preservation. We simply don't contaminate our own habitat.
Don't threaten the food chain, argue opponents. Over half the world's food comes from the seas. The United Nations, which regards the oceans as property of the international community, is skeptical of any safety claims.
This is a very short-sighted view. The scientists have been wrong before.
But with proper precautions, say some backers, ocean dumping may be the lesser of evils.
Our risk in terms of ocean disposal of sewage sludge is much less of a risk than getting the materials into groundwater as a result of a land-based disposal option.
Politics, environmental opposition, and the high cost, hundreds of millions of dollars to transport the waste, will likely keep the plan from becoming reality anytime soon. But backers say the idea can't be ignored, that the ocean must be kept open as an option for waste. Jerry Bowen, CBS News, Long Beach.
Now consider this. Every year, the Earth is losing 44,000 square miles of tropical rainforest. That's about the size of Louisiana. And when the forests die, they may be taking with them secrets of life. Lynn Brown explains.
Tropical rainforests make up only 7% of the Earth's surface, but contain tens of thousands of plant species with the potential to cure some of the world's deadliest diseases, from cancer to AIDS. But these forests and their environmental source of medicine are being destroyed. Scientists say it is imperative to save them.
What really is a race against time. We see the resource, the primary resource, being destroyed faster than we can study it.
In a major effort to prevent that from happening, botanists from the New York Botanical Garden and 2 other institutions, under contract to the National Cancer Institute, are collecting and documenting some 25,000 plant samples from the world's rainforests. Armed with a new and more sophisticated screening system, scientists at the Institute are looking for new drugs with the potential to cure some forms of cancer.
We are now in a position to screen many more plants which we feel will be a good source of potential leads for the treatment of particularly the solid tumor type cancer diseases.
Plant cures already have a track record. They account for 25% of all prescription drugs and have in the past yielded cures for cancer.
There's the famous example of the Madagascar periwinkle, and that's the source of 2 compounds which are used to fight childhood leukemia, and very successfully.
But it is a slow and painstaking process. Discovering just one drug could take anywhere from 10 to 20 years. During that time, more and more rainforests will have disappeared along with their potential cures.
If you destroy the wild sources and that plant species becomes extinct, then you've lost an important medicine.
But the hope is that if a major cure is found, it will be enough incentive for governments to halt the destruction of the rainforest before it's too late. Lynn Brown, CBS News, New York.
The problem of deforestation will be attacked later this summer at a symposium in upstate New York. Forestry experts from all over the world will be there. The overall challenge, how to develop the world without destroying it.
Why do you take aspirin more than once a week?
Because after one day of tennis, I can have 3 days of aches and pains. But when you take aspirin that often, you wonder about aspirin stomach upset.
Well, now there's a new and better aspirin product for you. Try Buffered Bufferin. Better than plain aspirin because it's 100% aspirin plus 3 buffers to help protect against stomach upset aspirin can cause.
You know, it really is better.
New Try Buffered Bufferin if you take aspirin more than once a week.
It's Lobster Fest time at Red Lobster. We know what you love the most. At our Lobster Fest, we do lobster best. No one else even comes close.
From $8.95, kids just 99 cents.
Have a tempting lobster trio, Mornay, if you're in the mood. La, la, la. Our tails are the best at our Lobster Fest. We know how you love seafood.
Now Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, lobster and shrimp trio just $11.95.
On their vacation, they had everything planned. Everything except this. So don't carry cash. Carry American Express traveler's checks. Don't leave home without them.
Dedication, attention to detail, and caring. At Realty World, it's not just the quality of the material our jackets are made of, but the quality of the people who wear them.
Summer means so many things: vacations, days at the beach, camping trips, and of course, mosquitoes. Frustrated scientists trying to control the pesky and sometimes dangerous insect think, though, they finally may have an answer. Victoria Corderi reports.
Holy cow, they're all over you.
No. This is the ritual dance of the outdoors, choreographed by what some would argue is a candidate for Florida's state bird.
We have mosquitoes down here that you could use for commercial aviation purposes.
If there wasn't nobody controlling mosquitoes here, I'm pretty sure there wouldn't be anybody living here.
Florida spends more than any other state, $40 million a year, on its uphill battle to control the mosquito. So it is no accident that one of the few mosquito labs in the world is located here, as part of the University of Florida.
There are probably millions and millions of eggs here.
Dr. Borowski is trying to perfect mosquito birth control. Right now it's injected. Eventually he hopes it can be sprayed into the environment. But the advanced scientists here are really banking on is this: the toxaronchitis, their secret weapon in the bug wars. This is the Rambo of insect control, a killer mosquito bred here that eats other mosquitoes but won't bite humans. And it may be coming soon to a neighborhood near you. The killer mosquito feeds on the eggs of other mosquitoes. It is already being used in New Orleans, and soon Florida will start experimenting. But even Rambo has his work cut out for him, because so far everything science has come up with to put the bite on mosquitoes, the mosquito eventually finds a way around and ends up biting back.
When they do that, it's time to leave.
Victoria Corderi, CBS News, Vero Beach.
You saw it first right here. That's the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather will be back tomorrow. Bill Plant will be here later tonight with the CBS Sunday Night News. I'm Susan Spencer, and I'll see you next week. Good night.
Dreaming the dreams of America.
Why do so many people choose GMAC financing to get the GM car or truck of their dreams? GMAC makes it easy. You do it all right at your GM dealers. And we make it easy on your budget with rates and terms to fit your needs. Don't just dream about a new GM car or truck. See your GM dealer about GMAC financing. GMAC! Official sponsor of America's Dreams.
If you could taste time, caring, dedication. If you could taste the sun, rain, fresh air. If you could taste tradition and pride. This is what it would taste like every time. With a name like Smucker's, it has to be good.
Have you ever wondered what a baggage handler might take on vacation? What everyone should take. Samsonite's glutton for punishment.
Now for indigestion, gas, introducing new Extra Strength Malox Plus. It neutralizes more than any leading antacid and dissolves gas. Nobody does as much as new Extra Strength Malox Plus.
Sullivan tomorrow will talk with a Marine who has AIDS and is suing the federal government. Also Daniel J. Travanti, and Tuesday Phil Donahue on CBS This Morning.
This is CBS. Coming up on Eyewitness News, Al Gore takes a bow back at home after bowing out of the presidential race. And the unrelenting drought has a scorching effect on business. These stories and more coming up next on Eyewitness News.
The news is out. All roads now lead to Gallatin and Team Toyota. The new Hendersonville bypass is open, and Team Toyota is only 12 to 15 minutes from Rivergate Mall. Team Toyota is celebrating with a summer sell-a-thon. We have a new shipment of cars and trucks, and prices are cut to the bone. How about a new 1988 Toyota pickup with weather guard package, only $79.93. By the way, that price includes freight and dealer prep. Camrys, Corollas, Tercels, trucks, they're all here at Team Toyota in Gallatin. Hurry for the best selection and incredible prices. That's Team Toyota in Gallatin. Drive a little, save a lot.
The Meadow Gold ice cream that will come from this dairy won't have little plastic containers or exotic price tags or some name